Hi, my name is Ben Tillman, and I, like you, am a college student during a pandemic. Now, as college students, we face a lot of stress, whether it be school-related, work-related, trying to find a job, even relationships can stress us out. Now, these stressors can cause anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues. COVID-19 did not do anything to help the current mental health issues of young adults and college students. In fact, it made it a lot worse. The purpose of today's speech is to show some of the effects that COVID-19 has had on young adult mental health, as well as to highlight some of the recommendations to mitigate this stress. Now, before COVID-19, mental health issues like anxiety and depression were prevalent among young adults. In fact, the Journal of Adolescent Health reports that before COVID-19, 65% of college students reported overwhelming anxiety. Now, after COVID-19, the same study reports 86% of students reported overwhelming anxiety. This increase could be due to a lot of factors. Some of the reported factors were financial stress, political stress, fear for their own health, and fear for the health of their loved ones. Now, we all face the pandemic. We all know some of the struggles and challenges that came with living life during a pandemic. There are three aspects to the pandemic that made it especially stressful for young adults and the population as a whole. The pandemic was novel, it was unpredictable, and it was uncontrollable. These are all stressors that affect the human mind. The fact that it was novel or new means that we had never experienced before. The fact that it was unpredictable means that we didn't know how to prepare for it. And the fact that it was uncontrollable means that we felt like we couldn't control the outcomes that came from the pandemic. These caused stress in our lives and may have amplified some of the stresses that already existed in our lives. Now, there were political and social influences, financial pressures, and then even loneliness that caused some people to suffer the most from anxiety caused by COVID-19. There are some ways, however, to overcome this stress. The Healthline recommends a couple different ways. Exercise, mindfulness, spending time with a pet, minimizing screen time, and getting outside are all ways to mitigate the stress that comes from COVID-19. These ways help us to be more mindful, they help us to have more control over our life, and they help us to be more aware of our situation and the benefits that we have in our life. Now, stress is an unavoidable part of our lives, especially as college students. COVID-19 has made it a lot worse. However, it doesn't have to be the end-all be-all. We as college students can take some of these recommendations like exercise or avoiding screen time, implement them into our lives, and come out of this pandemic ahead. Even though the pandemic has been stressful, one day it will end. And the better we're able to deal with the stress that comes from the pandemic, the better we'll be able to deal with stress that comes later on in our life.